So why do men go bald? Science will tell you that it's androgens, genetic sensitivity to male hormones. The hairs fall out because the genetics are timed so that it gets sensitive at a certain age, and then they start dying because of interaction with the hormone. I don't know, but I don't think that's true. I think that it's skull shape, and it's pretty obvious to me now that I'm looking for it that that's the case, because all men with male pattern baldness have the same skull shape features. And you can see on this guy, it's pretty prominent, that he has this giant bulge on the top of his head. And what that giant bulge does is it creates severe curvature in the head. So you see like skull shape goes up and then it gradually curves to the top of the head. And I think that's a problem for hair growth because it's common amongst all guys with bald heads. So another guy, see the gradual curve from the side of the head to the top of the head, very round, dome-like head, round forehead. It's tapering with tapering curvature and a bulge here on top. And this guy's got a very round head, right? The side just gradually round to the top of the head, a very round forehead. Even a guy, I think this kid's 21. You see he's starting to have a little bit of a hairline problem here, and I think it's going to keep going because he's got a very round, he's got a little bulge going there and a round head. And you just don't see this type of skull shape feature on guys with hair. Right? If you want a straight across hairline, you can't have a gradual rounding from the side to the top of your head. Right? Like this guy, gradual rounding. Compare that to this guy. There's no gradual rounding. The sides of his head go up, and then it turns sharply to the top of his head. He's got a little bit, and it's a more gradual curve on the top of his head. He's got a very broad, flat forehead too. Right? There's no roundness to this forehead, or very little. And see, it's very square here. Like, look, that's a square turn. Forehead is broad, and then it turns sharply to the side of his head. Side of the head goes up and turns sharply to the top of the head. That's what hair likes. Hair likes that kind of a skull shape to grow on. It likes these sharp angles, these sharp borders. I need to be able to distinguish the forehead from the top of the head. I need a broad, flat forehead that turns sharply here and turns sharply here. Right? A broad, flat forehead that turns sharply, right? Goes up, and then it turns sharply. Now it's the top of the head. No bulge here. Very gradual rounding. And a very vertical side of the head. Right? The forehead is broad and flat. It turns sharply to the side of the head. Side of the head, very vertical and turns sharply to the top of the head. And no bulging here. The less bulging you have here, the better your hairline is going to be. The thicker your hair is, and the more vertical and flat your forehead is, and more it can turn sharply to the top of the head, the better your hairline is going to be. Right? Good hairline here. This guy's even shaving his hairline, right? Because he's got a vertical forehead. And it turns very sharply. Like that is a sharp turn. Very sharp. Almost vertical and then sharp turn. Very flat head. This guy's got very sharp angles to his skull. That's why he's growing a lot of hair. Right? Same with this guy. Broad, flat forehead. Right? And it's small too. Small helps. But it doesn't have to be. As long as it's very broad, right? Meaning like the curvature is gradual all the way across and all the way up to the hairline. As long as the curvature is gradual all the way up to the hairline and then turns sharply to the top of the head, you're going to grow good hair. And his forehead turns sharply to the side of his head too, right? A lot of sharp angles in this skull. Hair likes that. Not a lot of sharp angles on this guy's skull. Right? It goes up and then it curves sharply to the top of his bulging head, right? Curving gradually to the top of his bulging head. Very round forehead too, with tapering radius. It's broader here than it is here. Right? That the curvature in his forehead is getting more and more acute as you go up to the top of the head. That's not good for hair growth. Same with this guy. Right? Gradual curving from the sides to the top of the head. There's no sharp turn. There's no sharp change in direction. You can't distinguish between his forehead, the sides of his head, and the top of his head. Everything just kind of gradually curves and blends together. You can't tell the difference. You don't know where the forehead ends and the side of the head begins, or the forehead ends and the top of the head begins, because this giant bulge is creating this gradual curving all the way around. It's getting the dome head right? The dome head has no sharp distinguishing borders that separate the parts of the head. Hair does not like that for whatever reason. Even if you just have a receding hairline, this guy doesn't have advanced baldness, but you see like the forehead doesn't turn sharply to the top of the head. It just gradually curves. There's no sharp change in direction. There's a little bit here, but it's just a gradual curve to the top. And that's why he's losing hair in the front. Hair does not like a gradual curve. It likes a sharp change in direction. And the same thing for this guy. He has a gradual curve to the top of his head. Gradual, right? It doesn't change. There's no sharp change in direction. Starts here and gradually curves to the top of his head. He's getting a rounder and rounder head, and that's why he's struggling to grow hair in the front of his head. Very sloping temples. And you'll see that's a common feature. Guys with receding hairlines, there's just a very gradual curve here. Right? There's not a sharp change from the side of the head to the top of the head. That's what you need to have a good hairline. That's what you need to have good temples. Jude Law got a gradual rounding, a very round front of his head. You don't want a round front of your head. You want sharp angles. There's no sharp angle in the front of his head. That's why he's struggling to grow hair here. It's becoming round and dome-like. More round and dome-like your head becomes, the less hair will grow on it. Right. This guy doesn't have a round and dome-like head. It's a broad forehead that changes direction sharply at his hairline. Right. Sharp change in direction. Up, sharp change in direction. Sides of the head. Up, sharp change in direction. And this kid just looks like an absolute punk. And he doesn't deserve this good of hair, but I mean, that's just how it is. It's the look of the jaw. What kind of skull shape do you get? And it changes over time, but this is a skull shape that is not susceptible to bulging and rounding. He's got a very broad, flat forehead and is short. It's going to be hard for this skull to expand and round out and lose hair. Another punk. I don't like this kid already just looking at him, which is not good to say. I got to, you have to love everybody. You don't have to like everyone, but you have to love everyone. God loves his kid, so I love him. Just what a punk. Oh man, you couldn't get a douchier kid. Anyway, and again, very broad, flat forehead, and it turns sharply. No bulging in the crown. Very gradual and very sharp change in direction. Up, sharp change in direction. Up, sharp change in direction. Forehead broad. Up, sharp change in direction. This kid's going to grow a lot of hair because of this skull shape. This is the kind of skull shape you need to grow hair. Another guy, sharp change in direction. Up, sharp change in direction. Broad, flat forehead that doesn't taper in radius. It's just broad. The same curvature is maintained up to the hairline. There's no tapering. There's no more. The radius here is no more acute than the radius here. The same curvature here is the same curvature here. If you can maintain that into old age, you're going to keep your hair. If you don't, if you got some bulging at the crown, then you're going to lose your hair. Broad, flat forehead, all the way up. The radius of this forehead does not change as you go up the forehead. The same curvature here as is here. Compared to this guy, the radius kind of changes. Right up here, the radius gets sharper. He's got more acute curvature at the top of his head. It's starting to round out. That's why he's not growing hair well here. And broad, flat curvature here, then it tapers. A little bit of a tapering. The more this tapers, the less hair you're going to grow here. This is pretty mild. He's got a mild tapering. If he grows his hair out, probably can hide a lot of this stuff. But as this area bulges out a little more, this area might bulge out a little more. This is where the area that bulges for me is. So this area bulges, and then you're going to get more and more acute curvature here, and then less and less hair. And this kid, poor kid, is starting to happen for him. You see that see the sloping temples here. See it on this guy too. Sloping temples. Right. The more acute radius you have here, the more these temples are going to slope. The more acute radius you have up here, the more these temples are going to slope. The more these temples slope, the more it's going to resemble forehead. The body's going to treat it like forehead. It's not going to grow hair there. That's my theory. This looks like forehead. The hair, once you get past the hairline, the head starts sloping steeply down the face. Skull starts sloping steeply down the face, and that's not good because that's what forehead does. That's how the body classifies forehead. This is starting to round out. The more this rounds out, the more this hairline is going to pinch in. All right, like this guy. See the hairline's pinching in because this is rounding out. Like this is not flat at all. Like the top of your head, where you grow hair is where your head is flat. Where the top of your head is flat, that's where the body knows to grow hair. But where it slopes, that's forehead. Body doesn't grow hair there. The more this slopes, the more likely it's going to get classified as forehead, and body doesn't grow hair in the forehead. This is forehead now. This is forehead now. That's why this guy can't grow hair here. And he's only growing hair where the top of his head is sufficiently parallel to the ground. Because he's got some bulge here. The more this bulges, the more this slopes, the more this hairline will pinch in, less hair he'll grow. Right, it's a more severe case. The more this bulges, the more the hairline, the temples slope, and the less parallel it is to the ground, and the less hair is going to grow there. It's pure observation. That's what's going on. Right? This guy doesn't have sloping temples. It starts sloping here. This is a pretty good hairline. It's a little bit of a gradual curve there, but it's sharp enough. And like he doesn't have any bulging here. Very gradual curvature. Right? If you don't bulge here, then you're not going to get the sloping temples. You're not going to get a gradual curve from the side to the top of the head. This kid's skull goes straight up and then curves sharply. And a gradual curve on top. That's how you grow hair. You got to have sharp angles, sharp changes in direction. If you can maintain the sharp changes in direction, then you will maintain your hair. This is not dome-like. There are borders. There are distinguishing angles that separate the forehead from the top of the head and the forehead from the sides of the head. This guy, there's not that. You don't have that, right? Because this bulge is rounding everything out. You have a gradual rounding. This is not a gradual round. There's a bulge here, and it's creating it's obscuring the sharp angles that separate the sides and the forehead from the top of the head. Body gets confused, stops growing hair. Right? There's no distinguishing borders here, just a gradual rounding to this point, this bulging point, gradual rounding to this bulging point. Hair does not like that. It wants separation. It wants to separate the forehead from the top of the head, and then it knows where to grow. Gradual rounding. See, like this from the sides of the head, there's a gradual round to the top. This is starting to bulge out. This is becoming dome-like. He's getting the planetarium head. You can't have a head like a planetarium if you want to grow hair. Right? No matter how many anti-androgens you take, like the DHT blockers and the minoxidil, how much blood you get to the head, you're not going to win that battle. This stuff's not going to work on a bulging, rounded head. And if hasn't been working for you, it didn't work for me. I used it for 13 years. Didn't work. Why? Because my head kept rounding out. That's the battle you got to fight. How do you stop your head from rounding out? Do you want a head like this? How do you flatten your head? Like this is a flat head. You have very sharp angles, sharp turn there on the sides of the head, and then there's a broad, flat forehead. It's broad all the way up to the hairline. The radius does not change. The curvature of the forehead does not change up to the hairline. That's what you want. That's when you need to grow hair. It's just simple as that. It's just obvious. Just look for it. You don't need to find a hormone you can't see, or like do some gene therapy with like genes you can't feel or see, or like no one's ever seen really. It doesn't matter. If it exists, doesn't exist, doesn't matter. It's all about skull shape. Guys with skull shapes like this grow hair. Any human with a skull shape like this will grow a really strong hairline. Any human with a skull shape like this will struggle to grow hair here. And see how sloping, like just comparison. It's just obvious. Why does this guy have hair? Why does this guy not have hair in his temples? Flatter temples, more curved temples, flatter temples, more curved temples. Forehead radius is tapering up to this bulging point. The more this tapers, the less hair the more this slopes, and the less hair you're going to have on your hairline. And the gradual rounding, you want to maintain sharp borders. Right? Even if you're just starting to bald, like you see, like there's a gradual rounding in the top of front of his head. This guy doesn't have a gradual rounding. These guys do. It is evident on this guy. It's not evident on guys with really strong hairlines. Gradual rounding in the temples. Gradual rounding. This guy has pretty good hair still, but you see like there's a bulging here, And this slopiness is starting to eat away at his hairline. Just anyone with a receding hairline, you see a round forehead, a round top of the head. There's going to be not as sharp of a change in direction from the side to the top. It's all contours. It's all how your head is shaped. And the head changes over time because there are no kids that look like this. There are no kids that look like this guy. They all look like this. The younger you are, the more your head's going to look like this. And then it changes over time. It starts rounding out for some of us with more round and less sharp skull contours, the borders to begin with. And then eventually you're like this, right? Very rounded. Everything's just round. There's no distinguishing borders between the sides and the top and the forehead. It's just a round all the way around. No contours at all. They've been completely obscured. That's when you can't grow any hair. You want to maintain your contours. This kid is maintaining, I think this guy's 26. He's a grown man. But yeah, sharp changes in direction. Forehead up to the hairline, same radius all the way up, and then maintains that radius, and then a sharp change in direction. Sharp change in direction. Sharp change in direction. No bulging here. Broad, flat forehead all the way up. No tapering radius. No bulging in the crown. And he's got a little bit of a curve here, but it changes. It's sharp enough. It's sharp enough, especially the forehead. If you can maintain a broad, flat forehead all the way up to the hairline, it's not really a matter so much. On the side, he's got better. Sharp change in direction. It's not a giant dome. Right? Sharp changes in direction. This guy's got great angles. Looks like a punk too, but great skull angles. Straight up and then sharp change in direction. Straight up, sharp change in direction. Broad forehead all the way up. No tapering forehead radius. Like this guy. He's got a tapering forehead radius all the way up. Right? It's broader here, but then as you go up, it just tapers because he's got a giant bulge here. And it's just rounded out. Like the sides of his head are not straight up and down. They gradually curve to this point up here. Gradually curve up to the point here. The body thinks, and gradually from here to his forehead, there's another gradual curve there that you'd see in profile view. This whole thing is forehead. The body thinks this whole thing is like based on how it classifies forehead, like the front of your face where it's sloping, your skull sloping steeply down your face, like that's forehead. This is all forehead. This is all sloping down the face. That's why you can't grow hair. She's got a giant dome head, no contours. Everything's sloping gradually down the face. And a little less severe case, you can see like there's a bulging here and there's a gradual, like this is rounding out to a point. Gradual rounding, tapering forehead radius. You can see like it's broader here as you go up. That forehead radius is tapering. I can see the angle here. This is where the side of his head begins. Right, from the eyebrows down here, this is where there's a sharp change in direction here, but it pinches in as you go up to the hairline. And then, see, like it changes direction here, further in towards his nose. And that's what's causing the receding hairline. There's a bulging here, and then you don't have that sharp change in direction way out here anymore. It's in here. That's what's causing the receding hairline. Broad, flat forward down here, but it's tapering up here. And there's a little bit. There must be some bulging here, and now his temples are sloping pretty steeply. There's no sharp change in direction in the front of his head. Struggling to grow hair on his hairline. All right, another weird skull shape. Bulges out and then rounds up to the top. Like there's no sharp change in direction. It's becoming a giant sphere, a giant golf ball. Right, you can't have a cone head or a giant golf ball or a planetarium. Those are all bad head shapes for growing hair. And this guy is just, this is my last picture. This very gradual, very mild hair loss. But you can see like in the front of the head, there's a gradual rounding. There's not a sharp change in direction when the forehead loses its steepness, right? It's vertical here. Then it changes direction. It's a gradual change. So he's starting to struggle to grow hair here and here. There must be some bulging, right? This is very mild. Like if you were just suffering from mild amounts of hair loss, it's because there is some bulging going on. It's not like this guy or like you don't have this yet, right? It's not quite here yet, but it's starting to happen. I have one more. It's just starting to happen here. There's some bulging. You got to figure out how to flatten that out. I do have one more picture. This guy there's no bulging. Broad, flat forehead, sharp change in direction. So the goal is to not to block your androgens or whatever, take these drugs that I took for 13 years and poison yourself and with no benefit. It's about maintaining your sharp borders in your skull. If you can do that, you figure out how to do that or reestablish them, then that's the cure to hair loss. And that's what I'm working on. You check out my other videos. I have some methods that I've been using to try to recontour my skull, flatten it out, flatten my forehead, flatten the top of my head. And then I have a lot of theory about why this happens. Go to my website, hairlossalchemy.com. Maybe I can go to it. Let's see if I can go to, here we go. Let's go to, make sure. Yep, here we go. All my theories. All right. Lots of stuff here. All free information. Skulls change after puberty. That might be a good thing to read. All right. And it's pretty weird stuff. But it makes more sense than blocking hormones to me. And furthermore, that didn't work. So I'm trying something different. Anyway, yeah, so check out that website and check out my other videos if this intrigues you. Anyway, here's the video. Nothing to sell today.